The rain was not the reason I was running that night, but it made everything harder. Water streamed down my face as I pushed through the crowded sidewalk outside the Romano Grand Hotel. The glowing gold sign above the entrance shimmered through the storm like something from another world. People hurried past beneath umbrellas, focused on their dinners, their meetings, their ordinary lives. I envied them. 3 weeks earlier, my biggest concern had been organizing a corporate charity event in Philadelphia. Now I could barely remember what normal felt like. My shoes splashed through puddles as I crossed the street. Every muscle in my body ached. I had slept less than 4 hours in the last 2 days. The city lights blurred together. Horns echoed through the rain. Somewhere behind me, a car door closed. My heart immediately jumped into my throat. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was nobody. But fear had become part of me. It traveled with me, breathed with me, refused to let go. I glanced over my shoulder. A man stood beneath a dark awning across the street. I could not see his face clearly. The rain hid too much. Still, something about the way he stood made my stomach tighten. Watching. Waiting. I turned away and forced myself toward the hotel entrance. The revolving doors spun slowly as guests entered and exited. Warm light spilled across the wet pavement. For one brief second, I allowed myself to believe I had made it. That I could disappear into the crowd. That I could catch my breath. The lobby looked enormous. Marble floors reflected crystal chandeliers hanging 3 stories above. Soft piano music drifted through the air. People checked in at the front desk while hotel staff moved quietly between them. Everything looked polished. Perfect. Safe. My legs nearly gave out from relief alone. I took several steps forward. Then another. The warmth of the building hit me all at once. My body seemed to realize it no longer needed to keep running. The adrenaline that had carried me across cities and bus stations suddenly vanished. The room tilted. I reached for a nearby column. Missed. A hotel guest asked if I was all right. I tried to answer. Nothing came out. The piano music sounded farther away. The lights overhead stretched into long streaks of gold and white. Panic surged through me. Not now. Please, not now. I needed to stay awake. I needed to keep moving. My knees buckled. Gasps echoed somewhere nearby. The marble floor rushed toward me. Hands reached out. Voices called for help. Everything blurred together. I fought to keep my eyes open. Fought to hold on for one more second. Through the haze, I noticed a security camera mounted above the reception desk. It stared down silently at the chaos below. I did not know who was watching it. I did not know that my life was about to change. I only knew one thing. As darkness closed around me, I grabbed the sleeve of the nearest hotel employee and whispered the only words that mattered. Please do not let them find me. I woke up to silence. Not complete silence. The distant hum of air conditioning. The faint sound of rain tapping against glass somewhere far away. The soft rustle of fabric when I shifted beneath unfamiliar sheets. For several seconds, I had no idea where I was. Then memory returned all at once. The hotel. The lobby. The fear. My eyes snapped open. Panic followed immediately. I sat upright too fast and the room spun around me. A wave of dizziness forced me to grab the edge of the bed. Everything felt wrong. The room was enormous. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked a skyline glowing beneath storm clouds. A fireplace flickered quietly across the room. Fresh flowers sat on a polished table. The furniture looked expensive enough to cost more than my car. This was not a hospital. It was not a hotel room either. It felt private, protected, controlled. My heart began racing. I threw aside the blanket and stood. My legs felt weak, but they held. Good enough. I needed to leave. Now. Before anyone found me. Before whoever had been following me realized where I was. I spotted my canvas bag resting on a chair nearby and immediately grabbed it. Relief flooded through me when I felt its familiar weight. At least nobody had taken it. I hurried toward the door. It opened before I reached it. A woman in a black suit stepped inside carrying a tablet. She stopped when she saw me standing. "Miss Collins," she said calmly. "You should still be resting." "Where am I?" My voice sounded rough. You're safe. I almost laughed. Nobody who understood my situation would use that word. I need to leave. I am afraid that is not possible yet. Fear tightened inside my chest. Who brought me here? The woman hesitated. Only briefly. Mr. Romano. The name hit me immediately. Adrien Romano. Everyone in New York knew the name. Hotel owner. Investor. Businessman. Depending on who you asked, something far more powerful than that. Why? I asked. Because he requested it. Before I could respond, she glanced toward the doorway. Her posture straightened instantly. I knew someone important had arrived before I even turned around. Footsteps approached slowly. Confidently. No rush. No uncertainty. The kind of walk that belonged to a man accustomed to being obeyed. Adrien Romano entered the room wearing a charcoal suit without a single wrinkle. Dark hair. Sharp features. Calm gray-blue eyes that seemed to miss absolutely nothing. He stopped a few feet away and studied me in silence. Not staring. Assessing. The woman quietly left the room and closed the door behind her. Neither of us spoke for several seconds. Rain continued striking the windows behind him. Finally, he looked toward the canvas bag clutched tightly against my chest. Something shifted in his expression. Not suspicion. Recognition. Miss Collins, he said quietly. You looked terrified when you arrived downstairs. My grip tightened. I need to go. No, the answer came immediately. Calm. Certain. Unmovable. You do not understand. His eyes remained fixed on mine. Actually, he said, I think somebody wants you to disappear. And I would like to know why. I wanted to leave. The thought repeated itself over and over as Adrien Romano stood across from me, calm and unreadable, while every instinct I had screamed that staying in one place was dangerous. You are wrong, I said. My voice sounded stronger than I felt. Nobody wants me to disappear. The lie hung in the air between us. Adrien did not challenge it. He did not argue. Somehow that made it worse. Then why were you afraid? He asked quietly. I tightened my grip on the canvas bag. I was tired. You were terrified. His answer came without hesitation. Rain streaked across the windows behind him, turning the city into a blur of silver lights. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. I hated how easily he seemed to see through me. I appreciate what you did, I finally said. But I need to go. Adrien glanced toward the door. No, the word landed with surprising weight. Not because he raised his voice. Because he did not. You cannot stop me. I can. His eyes met mine. But that is not what I am doing. Confusion flickered through me. Then what are you doing? Trying to prevent you from making a mistake. My heart raced. Every conversation felt like a test I did not understand. Before I could respond, a soft vibration echoed through the room. Adrien reached into his jacket and checked his phone. His expression remained unchanged, but something in his posture shifted. Attention. Focus. Calculation. He typed a quick response and slipped the phone away. What is it? I asked. My security team reviewed the hotel footage. The fear returned instantly. Cold and familiar. And? Adrien took a slow breath. You were not alone when you arrived. The room seemed to shrink around me. What do you mean? A man entered the hotel lobby 4 minutes after you. My stomach dropped. No, he remained inside for less than 60 seconds. Adrien folded his arms. Then he left. Every muscle in my body tightened. I remembered the figure beneath the awning across the street. The feeling of being watched. The certainty that someone was following me. Did they identify him? I whispered. Adrien shook his head. Not yet. The answer should have comforted me. Instead, it made everything worse. Whoever had been looking for me knew how to avoid being noticed. The silence stretched. Finally, Adrien spoke again. Miss Collins, what happened before you came to New York? I looked away. I had spent weeks avoiding that question. Avoiding the truth. Not because I wanted to lie. Because saying it out loud made everything real. 3 weeks ago, I said quietly, I lived in Philadelphia. Adrien waited. I organized corporate events. Charity galas. Fundraisers. Boring things. A bitter smile touched my lips and vanished. Then one night I found something I was never supposed to find. Adrien did not move. What was it? I swallowed hard. The memory flashed through my mind. A parking garage. A dropped object. A decision that seemed meaningless at the time. I do not know, I admitted. Not completely. For the first time, genuine curiosity appeared in his eyes. But whatever it was, he said softly, people are willing to search multiple states to get it back. At that exact moment, my phone lit up inside the canvas bag. I froze. I had turned it off 2 days earlier. Slowly, with trembling hands, I pulled it out. One message glowed on the screen. No number. No name. Just 6 words. We know you're with him now. The phone nearly slipped from my hands. For several seconds, I could do nothing except stare at the screen. We know you're with him now. The message glowed against the darkness like a warning I could not escape. My pulse hammered in my ears. I had changed phones. Changed cities. Changed everything I could think of. Yet somehow they still knew where I was. Adrien stepped forward and held out his hand. Let me see it. I gave him the phone without arguing. He studied the message for a moment before pressing a button on the side. The screen went dark. Can they track it? I asked. Possibly. His voice remained calm. But that message tells me something more important. What? Adrien slipped the phone into his jacket pocket. Whoever is looking for you is confident. The answer sent a chill through me. Confident people did not send warnings unless they believed they had the advantage. Rain continued tapping against the windows while silence settled over the room. Finally, Adrien reached for his own phone and placed a call. Marcus. His voice became sharper. I need a complete review of every digital system connected to this hotel. He listened briefly. Immediately. The call ended. I watched him carefully. You believe this is connected to whatever I found? I know it is. The certainty in his voice startled me. How can you be sure? Adrien looked directly at me. Because normal people do not erase records, follow someone across multiple states, and send messages like that. I wanted to argue. Instead, I sat down slowly on the edge of the bed. Exhaustion weighed on me like concrete. 3 weeks ago, my life was normal. The words escaped before I could stop them. Adrien pulled a chair closer and sat across from me. Tell me about it. I laughed softly. Not because anything was funny. Because it felt impossible now. I lived in a small apartment near Rittenhouse Square. I spent my days planning conferences and fundraising events. I stared toward the rain-covered skyline. Everything was predictable. And then, I swallowed hard. I attended a corporate gala. The memory returned immediately. Bright lights. Expensive suits. Polished smiles. After the event ended, I walked through the underground parking garage. Adrien remained silent. Waiting. That is where I found it. Found what? I hesitated. For weeks I had avoided saying it aloud. Somehow speaking about it made the danger real. A flash drive. Adrien leaned back slightly. Did you open it? Once. My hands tightened together. Most of the files were protected. I could not access them. Most? I nodded. There was one folder. The room seemed to grow quieter. What was inside? I closed my eyes. Names. Adrien's expression changed almost imperceptibly. Names of who? Business leaders. Attorneys. Public officials. My voice dropped lower. Beside every name were records of payments. Neither of us spoke for several seconds. Then a knock interrupted the silence. The door opened and a man in a dark suit entered carrying a tablet. He stopped beside Adrien. Sir, he said quietly. We found something. Adrien took the tablet and studied the screen. The color drained from my face when he turned it toward me. The image showed my driver's license. Across it, in bold red letters, were 2 words. Record removed. For a moment I forgot how to breathe. Record removed. The words stared back at me from the tablet screen like a verdict. My driver's license photo remained there. My name remained there. But according to whatever system Adrien's team had accessed, I no longer officially existed. That is impossible, I whispered. I know. Adrien's voice remained steady. That is why it concerns me. I looked at the man standing beside him. There has to be a mistake. The man shifted uncomfortably. We checked multiple databases. My stomach tightened. And? The same result. The room suddenly felt colder. I remembered the apartment I had rented for 3 years. The grocery store where the cashier knew my name. The coffee shop where I ordered the same drink every Friday morning. Those things were real. My life was real. Yet somehow someone had convinced computers, records, and institutions to say otherwise. Adrien handed the tablet back to his associate. Keep digging. The man nodded and quietly left the room. The door closed behind him. Silence followed. Rain continued sliding down the glass walls overlooking Manhattan. The city sparkled beyond the storm, unaware that my entire identity seemed to be disappearing piece by piece. How many people can do something like this? I asked. Adrien looked toward the skyline. Very few. The answer did not help. If anything, it made everything worse. Then whoever is after me has power. Yes. More power than the police? Adrien paused. Possibly. Fear settled heavily inside my chest. For weeks I had convinced myself that everything would return to normal if I just stayed ahead of whoever was following me. Now I understood how naive that had been. You could not outrun someone capable of rewriting reality. My eyes drifted toward the canvas bag resting beside the bed. The flash drive. Everything always came back to the flash drive. I should have thrown it away, I said quietly. Adrien looked at me. No, you do not know that. Actually, I do. His voice remained calm. Because if they were willing to erase your records before recovering it, then whatever is on that drive matters. The certainty in his tone caught my attention. You think it is important? I think somebody believes it is important. Before I could answer, a soft knock interrupted us. The same woman in the black suit entered carrying a folder. Mr. Romano. Adrien accepted it and opened it immediately. His expression did not change, but I noticed his eyes narrow slightly. What is it? I asked. He studied the contents for another second before closing the folder. A guest checked into the hotel this morning. My pulse quickened. And? Adrien looked directly at me. He used a false identity. The room seemed to shrink around me. How do you know? Because the person whose name appears on the registration died 8 years ago. My mouth went dry. What does that have to do with me? Adrien was silent for a moment. Then he opened the folder and placed a photograph on the table between us. The image showed a man entering the hotel lobby less than an hour earlier. He was looking directly at the security camera. And in his hand was a recent photograph of me. The photograph refused to leave my mind. Even after Adrien placed the folder aside, I could still see the man's face. Calm. Patient. Certain. The kind of certainty that comes from believing you are already winning. I sat on the edge of the bed staring at the rain beyond the windows while a knot tightened inside my chest. I have never seen him before, I said. Adrien remained standing near the fireplace. That does not mean he has never seen you. The answer made my stomach drop. For weeks I had felt watched. Followed. Observed from a distance I could never quite measure. Now I had proof. Someone had not only found me. Someone had carried a recent photograph of me into one of the most secure hotels in New York. How recent is that picture? I asked. Adrien opened the folder again and studied the image. Within the last month. My heart skipped. That is impossible. Why? Because I have spent the last month trying not to be seen. The room fell silent. Adrien looked thoughtful rather than surprised. Then somebody has access to information they should not have. I laughed softly. There was no humor in it. That seems to be a pattern. Before he could answer, another knock came at the door. Marcus entered carrying a laptop. His expression told me immediately that whatever he had found was important. Sir. Adrien gestured for him to continue. Marcus opened the laptop and turned the screen toward us. A map of the eastern United States appeared. Small markers stretched from Philadelphia to New York. We reconstructed Miss Collins's movements over the past 3 weeks, Marcus said. My pulse quickened. How? Credit card records. Transportation logs. Hotel registrations that were later removed. He pointed to the screen. Every city she entered experienced the same thing. Adrien's eyes narrowed slightly. Explain. Marcus took a breath. Within 24 hours of her arrival, somebody accessed local databases connected to her identity. A chill crawled down my spine. You mean they were tracking me? No, Marcus said quietly. Tracking would have been easier. The room seemed to grow colder. Then what were they doing? Marcus looked directly at me. They were following the digital trail behind you and deleting it after you left. For several seconds, nobody spoke. The implications settled over me slowly. Every hotel receipt. Every transportation record. Every trace proving I had existed in those places had been disappearing one by one. Why? I whispered. Adrien answered before Marcus could. Because they do not want anyone reconstructing your story. My hands tightened together. That does not make sense. It does if the flash drive contains something valuable. I looked away. The flash drive. Everything always returned to the flash drive. The object I almost ignored in a parking garage. The object I almost threw away. The object powerful people seemed desperate to recover. Marcus closed the laptop. There is one more thing. Adrien glanced up. What? Marcus hesitated. An hour ago, a safety deposit box was accessed in Philadelphia under a false identity. My heartbeat accelerated immediately. And? Marcus swallowed. The box contained a flash drive. For a second, nobody moved. The words seemed to hang in the air long after Marcus finished speaking. A safety deposit box. Philadelphia. A flash drive. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it. That is impossible, I whispered. I never rented a safety deposit box. Marcus nodded. We know. Adrien remained silent, his eyes fixed on the map glowing on the laptop screen. Who accessed it? He finally asked. We do not know yet, Marcus replied. The identity used at the bank was false. The security footage is being reviewed. I felt the room tilt slightly. Everything about the last 3 weeks had been confusion, fear, and unanswered questions. Now there was something worse. Someone else knew about the drive. Someone else had found it before we did. What if they already have it? I asked quietly. Neither man answered immediately. That silence was answer enough. Adrien stood and walked toward the window. Manhattan stretched beneath the storm clouds, endless and indifferent. When did you last have the drive? He asked. I closed my eyes. The memory came back instantly. The morning I left Philadelphia. You are certain? Yes. My fingers tightened around the edge of the bed. I checked for it before boarding the bus. Adrien turned toward me. And after that? I froze. Because suddenly I realized something. I could not remember. Not clearly. The days after leaving Philadelphia had blurred together into train stations, hotels, crowded terminals, and sleepless nights. I do not know, I admitted. I assumed it was still in my bag. Marcus exchanged a glance with Adrien. Then there is a chance it was taken without her realizing it. The possibility sent a chill through me. If someone had gotten close enough to remove the drive, then they had been closer than I ever imagined. Adrien's phone vibrated. He answered immediately. Talk to me. His expression remained unreadable as he listened. When? A pause. Send everything. He ended the call and looked directly at me. The security footage from the bank just arrived. My pulse accelerated. Marcus opened another file on the laptop. Grainy video filled the screen. A person wearing a baseball cap approached the bank counter. The image was not clear enough to identify a face. But something about the posture felt familiar. Uncomfortably familiar. The person handed over identification. Spoke briefly. Then disappeared from view. Can you zoom in? Adrien asked. Marcus adjusted the image. The quality improved slightly. My breath caught. A silver bracelet flashed beneath the sleeve for only a fraction of a second. I knew that bracelet. I had seen it hundreds of times. Birthdays. Coffee shops. Weekend road trips. No, I whispered. Marcus looked at me. What is it? My stomach dropped. I know that bracelet. The room became completely silent. Adrien's eyes narrowed. Who does it belong to? I stared at the frozen image, hoping I was wrong. Praying I was wrong. But deep down, I already knew. My best friend, I said softly. Rachel. The world seemed to stop moving. Rachel. Even saying her name felt wrong in that room. For years, she had been the person I trusted most. The person who knew every version of me. The one who helped me move into my first apartment. The one who celebrated promotions and comforted me through failures. If the image on that screen truly belonged to her, then everything I thought I understood about the last 3 weeks was about to change. Are you certain? Adrien asked quietly. I stared at the frozen frame. I bought that bracelet for her birthday. My voice sounded distant. There cannot be many identical ones. Marcus enlarged the image again. The silver chain caught the light. My stomach twisted. It is hers. Silence settled over the room. Rain continued tapping against the glass, softer now than before. Adrien folded his arms and studied the screen. Then we need to know why she accessed the box. I wanted to believe there was an innocent explanation. A misunderstanding. A coincidence. But every explanation I imagined collapsed under the weight of reality. Rachel had never mentioned a safety deposit box. She had never mentioned any connection to the people following me. Yet, somehow she had appeared at the exact place connected to the flash drive. I do not understand, I whispered. Adrien looked at me. Maybe she was helping you. Without telling me? Or maybe she discovered something after you disappeared. The possibility gave me a small amount of hope. Tiny. Fragile. But enough to hold on to. Marcus received a notification on his phone. He checked it immediately. There is more. My pulse quickened. What now? He turned the screen toward us. A scanned document appeared. Bank records. Security logs. Timestamps. The flash drive was not removed from the box. I blinked. What? Marcus nodded. It was deposited there. The room became completely silent. Adrien's expression sharpened. Explain. Marcus scrolled down the report. The box was empty until yesterday afternoon. My heart hammered against my ribs. You mean Rachel put it there? According to the records, yes. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Then something clicked inside my mind. A memory. A conversation from months earlier. Rachel laughing over coffee and telling me that if life ever became complicated, important things should be placed somewhere safe instead of somewhere obvious. At the time it had sounded like random advice. Now it felt different. Deliberate. Planned. She knew, I whispered. Adrien turned toward me. Knew what? She knew I was in danger. The realization hit me all at once. Rachel had not taken the flash drive to betray me. She had hidden it. Protected it. Protected me. Relief and confusion crashed together inside my chest. Can we retrieve it? I asked. Marcus looked toward Adrien. Adrien nodded once. Already in motion. For the first time in weeks, I felt something I had almost forgotten existed. Hope. Real hope. Not because the danger was gone. Not because the mystery had been solved. But because for the first time, the truth seemed closer than the people trying to bury it. Then Adrien's phone vibrated. He listened to the caller for several seconds before slowly lowering the device. His eyes met mine. The drive has been opened, he said quietly. And what is inside changes everything. 3 months later, the rain was gone. Sunlight poured through the tall windows of a small event center overlooking the Hudson River, painting golden reflections across the polished floor. I stood near the entrance holding a clipboard and trying not to smile too much. For the first time in what felt like forever, my life belonged to me again. The flash drive had changed everything. The information hidden inside had revealed years of carefully concealed financial records and coordinated efforts to manipulate important decisions behind closed doors. Once independent investigators and journalists verified the files, the story became impossible to bury. The people responsible could no longer hide behind erased records and disappearing identities. More importantly, they could no longer erase mine. Little by little, my life returned. My driver's license was restored. My employment records reappeared. My apartment history came back. Every missing piece found its way home. Rachel eventually contacted me through Adrien's team. She explained that she had discovered someone searching for me shortly after I disappeared. Afraid the flash drive would be taken, she secretly moved it to the safety deposit box and left clues only she believed I would eventually understand. She had never betrayed me. She had protected the only evidence capable of revealing the truth. Standing there now, Watching guests arrive for a charity event I had organized myself, everything felt almost normal again. Almost. Because some things had changed forever. The door opened, and a familiar figure stepped inside. Adrien Romano. The room seemed quieter the moment he entered, though nobody appeared to notice it except me. He wore a dark suit, as usual, and carried himself with the same calm confidence that had unsettled me the first day we met. Yet, somehow he looked different now. Less distant. More human. He crossed the room and stopped beside me. "Everything ready?" he asked. I glanced around at the decorations, the tables, the guests. Then I smiled. For once, yes. A faint smile appeared on his face. Good. We stood together for a moment, watching the event come to life. No warnings. No anonymous messages. No fear hiding behind every doorway. Just ordinary people enjoying an ordinary evening. It felt extraordinary. "You know," I said quietly, "the last time I saw you, I thought my life was over." Adrien looked toward the river beyond the windows. "And now?" I followed his gaze. The water sparkled beneath the setting sun. The city stretched beyond it, bright and endless. Now I think it was the beginning. For a second, neither of us spoke. Then Adrien nodded once, as if he understood exactly what I meant. Maybe he did. Because months earlier, I had walked into a hotel exhausted, frightened, and completely alone. A powerful stranger had looked at a broken situation and refused to walk away. He could have ignored me. He could have treated me like a problem. Instead, he chose to help. As the evening light filled the room, I realized something I would never forget. Sometimes the safest place in the world is not a building, a city, or a locked door. Sometimes it is the person who sees your fear, believes your story, and stays when everyone else leaves.